Hello and welcome to the CardFellas Show, and we're happy to be introducing this as a brand new kind of podcast live show. And what we want to do is do this weekly, and kind of our idea here is to come out and talk about a set. Every week we do this, we're gonna spotlight a set. We're gonna talk about our memories and what we know about this set. So it'll be educational, not just two guys chatting about sports cards. I'm Chris. And I'm with ML. ML, what's going on tonight?
Not much, man. Yeah, what can go wrong? Just two guys talking into the camera. Yeah, I'm Matt, ML on the screen. Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm excited to talk a little bit of sports cards. And, as you mentioned, one set that we're going to talk about. We're going to dissect it. Nice deep dive into some junk wax era cards and other cards that we find interesting. But kind of when we talked about this, we're like, okay, what are we going to talk about first? What are we going to do? And how do we get this show going? And you and I talked, Chris, and we said, why don't we tell something? Like, we always text each other. You and I text each other, during the day. But like, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this? So we're going to start out with, tell me something cool, Chris, or odd or otherwise that you've noticed in the hobby. We'll kind of start there, and then we'll talk about the set. Again, we're going to dissect the hell out of one set. We'll do that for, 10, 15 minutes? We'll see. And then we're going to end with however long it takes. We're going to riff on it. And then we're going to end with what surprised you this week. And that's just, again, something we saw on the internet, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, something related to the hobby. We're going to look at it and go, boy, that surprised us. Again, we're just taking our texts offline here, or texts that are happening offline. We're just going to discuss them on this show. So I'm gonna start with you. Chris, what surprised you, or not what surprised you? Tell me something cool, something odd, or the third category otherwise.
Well, I'm just going to say this is news. It's definitely not cool, and it's really not odd either, but just something that I've seen recently. And it's starting March 1st, eBay raising their selling fees from 12.35 to 12.9%. It's an increase of a little bit over 0.5%. Basically means it's going to cost you about 50 cents more if you sell a $100 card. And to me, it's like eBay's going full-blown Office Space here. You know that penny jar at the 7-Eleven? Well, those are full pennies. We're talking about, fractions of a penny here. It's aggregates. They're going to round them up, right, and they're going to put them in an account that they opened. So 50 cents on a $100 sale. It's not going to make or break anybody, but the cost associated with selling on eBay, which is the number one marketplace for cards right now, it continues to go up. I still think it's the best place to go if you want to sell cards, especially if you're the average collector. Doesn't feel good, something to keep an eye on. But, it just keeps getting more and more expensive to sell there. But you know what? It's more and more expensive for me to go to the grocery store, more and more expensive for me to go to the gas station. But just one more thing, guys. It's more money to sell your cards now, too.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. One more thing that's going up in price, and another company that's probably doing pretty well. I would probably assume, this is my assumption, don't have any data to back this up, but eBay probably did really well during the pandemic. So here they are now. Maybe they're looking at an opportunity to make even more money, like some organizations do when people are looking for that extra income and being thrifty. And eBay did probably really well during the pandemic. So yeah, that's a good call out. Another thing to look out for as you're selling or buying on eBay. I'm also in the otherwise category. It's not cool. It's not odd. It's just something that crossed my mind. And you and I are not big NBA guys. We'll kind of watch through the cards and what people are collecting and talk about. But my attention came back to Zion Williamson. And, he's still relevant in the hobby despite not playing. And, when we look back before the pandemic kind of gave new life to cards, Zion Williamson gave life to new cards. I mean, there were guys buying $400, $500, $600 boxes looking for his rookie cards. They thought he was going to be the next great icon. Now, here he is, injured again. No one knows when he's going to get back on the floor. Is he going to be healthy? So I think a lot of people lost money on those investments. on Zion Williamson. And it got me thinking, like, there was so much hype, so much potential. What do you do with his cards now? Because if you do look at market movers, his cards go like this. It's like a little bump here and there. It's like, maybe, no, maybe, no. And it just, again, I don't have an opinion on this. It's the otherwise, but I'm like, what do you do with Zion Williamson cards? And I know, Chris, you didn't chase it when it started. I did a little bit. I was after those Prism cards. I thought, man, this guy's going to be the next big thing. But just got me thinking again. And I think maybe what got me thinking was PSA sends out their monthly grading, players that they're grading. Zion was on that list. So there's still some people who think this guy still has the potential to be a relevant figure in the trading world, in the sports world, in the NBA. But, man, track record, right, tells you this guy's probably a hard sell. But
yeah, I just don't think he's got the body. I mean, if the body that he has, I think, if he was coming in and was always healthy, maybe he could survive. I mean, Charles Barkley, similar body and was able to play for many, many years. But this guy's just been broken down the entire time he's been in the NBA. And that kind of body isn't the kind of body that's going to be able to continue to do that on and on. And I think as an investor, if you're really going to talk PSA cards with this guy, you got to look at it and go, man, those population reports are through the roof. The guy's hurt. There's a ton of graded cards out there with him, and he's just, if he starts producing, I think it'll be a surprise to everybody.
Yeah, and I don't see a big spike in his value, right? I mean, that's like what you're saying. Most of his cards are overgraded because everybody was chasing him and everybody was getting him graded. But again, just made me think. Every once in a while, I'll pop into the NBA and I'll go, I wonder if he's playing. And you kind of Google and say, like, we don't have a timetable on his broken foot. You got a knee and a foot on this guy so far. So again, body structure, maybe just not the way that he stays healthy because just how he's built. But it's too bad because I think he could have been a truly exceptional player. But so that's our first thing to kick us off here is the cool, odd, or otherwise. Both of us chose the otherwise. But let's get into the set we're going to be talking about today. And this one is, do you remember, Chris, this was about 2 years ago? I think I texted you or called you in like the middle of the night. It was like midnight. And I was like, dude, I just bought 27 sets of 1990 score on eBay. And I think you just started dying laughing. You're like, what are you doing? And I'm immediately had buyer's remorse. So today we're going to be talking about the old Yeller, the 1990 score set. And man, have we had fun with this one. But yeah, it started with me finding these sets. And I think when we were looking at these, I bought 27 of these from one seller. And I think I got them for about $3 to $4 a set. And I immediately think I messaged you and was like, what have I done? What have I done? And here we are now a couple of years after we started this, and I'm still buying that set. But, I think it's an interesting set. They're going for about $20 now, including cost and shipping on eBay. So like the price has actually gone up and stayed up. And so I think it's an interesting set. There's a lot of interesting cards in here, and that's what we're going to dissect today in our first breakdown of the sets that we're going to be talking about. Anything you want to start with this? I don't even know if it's an iconic set. Is it? How would you describe this set?
I actually think it is. I think if you take, if we're going to take Junk Wax era and put an iconic label on any of the sets, I think the 89 Upper Deck set is obviously number one. But I think this set is definitely, in the top five for sure. And that kind of leads me to this story that I told you earlier this week. It's, I remember as a young guy riding my bicycle. It was about, I think, probably 8 or 9 miles across town. I lived in a rural area to this drugstore, and that's where I bought all my baseball cards. I remember.
Think of that, 8 or 9 miles.
Yes.
bike ride, not a car ride, bike ride.
It was a long bike ride. I know that. Someday I should go back to my hometown and measure it out just to see what it really was. But I think it probably was 8 or 9.
Probably a block and a half.
Yeah. But, I remember going there with my mom, and I was able to buy a set. And she's like, do you want this one or this? And I remember looking at the 89 Upper Deck set, the 1990 score set. And I'm like, I want that one because it had the Bo Jackson card in it that everybody wanted. And not that it was like, we're not talking about life-changing money, but the score set today sells for about $20 and the Upper Deck set about $200. So my first good call of my sports collecting career right there.
Right. You want the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie Upper Deck iconic card, or do you want the Bo Jackson black and white with the shoulder pads and baseball bat iconic card?
Right.
You chose the Bo Jackson. And I think most kids at that time would have done the same thing.
Absolutely.
That card was awesome. So this set has 704 cards in it. But the iconic card is the Bo Jackson that Chris was mentioning. You see him with his bat on there with the shoulder pad, the black and white. He's got the muscles just, bulging out there. And that was what that's what I noticed. I looked at that card when I bought the 27 sets, and I was like, boy, that's a card that I really like. I bet you a lot of other people like it too. I'm going to buy 27 of these sets. I want to pull 27 Bo Jacksons. You want to talk about the next conversation you and I had once we got the sets here?
Yeah, let's shell out that reality of what happened.
Oh man! So I since I have the prop, I'm going to bring it open right here. So just some stats on the card. So the PSA 10 is selling for about $220, $240 right now, the Bo Jackson, and the PSA 9 still about $40 or $50. So people are buying that card. So now when I bought 27 of these sets, it was, they all came and I was all excited to rip them open. So like I said here, there's 704 cards in this set right now. Now this box is the same size box as the Topps box, and a Topps box holds 792 cards. So Score had to make up for the lack of cards that filled the box. They went with packing it with like a piece of styrofoam. And the thing that the Bo Jackson card was pushed right up against the styrofoam. And this styrofoam did not protect the card. So I got through like 2 or 3 boxes and the cards were dinged to all hell. Remember the conversations, Curt? I think I called you in a panic, or I was texting you in a panic. Like, dude, what have I done? I bought 27 of these, and the 3 cards I've pulled out of the 3 boxes looked like they'd been used for wiping my nose. Like, they were so beat up. Just like, who designs this? I don't know. So I thought it was, I thought we were going to be just in serious trouble with all those. But, I'm going to make a short story long. No, long story short. I eventually had 9 Bo Jackson cards that I felt were good enough to get graded. So 9 out of the 27. I ended up getting 2 8s, 6 9s, and I actually got a PSA 10. So one of the cards was good. So it ended up, when we talked the whole long story process of getting the cards graded, the money ended up coming back, and I ended up getting at least one PSA 10. I paid for everything, so I was okay with that. But this little thing right here caused so much pain and anguish, and it made us realize, like, no wonder these sets have been sitting there. Somebody opened them and was like, yeah, you're not probably going to get a 10. You're wasting your money. And that's the story of the Bo Jackson card that you and I shared many times. And here we are on our first show talking about the piece of styrofoam.
Well, there you go. Thing that we should talk about though is that you bought the 27 sets, but we ended up buying, like, maybe between the two of us, another probably 60 sets. I mean, we bought a lot of them, and we still have a lot of them unopened. But the other thing, the packaging in that set, and it's important to know too that Bo was against that styrofoam a lot, but there's other times where it wasn't against that.
Right.
Styrofoam.
That's a great point.
It was in a different spot in the sequence, but the packaging in that box, the way it was designed, if you look at that Topps box you had, and if you open that box, where the bends are in that box, actually the cardboard kind of goes in. Or where the bends are on the score box, the cardboard actually comes out. And would really do a number on a lot of the cards. So you'd have a lot of corners pop because of that box. So if you're out there hunting for PSA 10s through score set boxes, it's going to be a difficult find. But you talked about those Bo Jacksons and sending them in, but the thing is there's a lot of really good cards in that set too. It's not really good cards as in a premier set, but for a Junk Wax era set, this was the third year for Score. They had an 88 set. They had an 89 set. The 88 set really didn't have any rookies. The 89 set had Randy Johnson, but the Griffey card was in the traded set. So you couldn't get it in the packs. You couldn't get it in the main set. But in the 1990 set, there was tons of great rookies in that thing. Frank Thomas, Larry Walker, both guys Hall of Fame. Bernie Williams in there, Robin Ventura. We talked about Bo Jackson being a two-sport athlete, but Deion Sanders' rookie card is in there as well. Sure. You got Tino Martinez, you got Moise Alou, Greg Vaughn and Mo Vaughn, not related, also rookie cards in there. So a ton of really good rookies, and those Frank Thomas cards typically actually graded out pretty well. It seemed like that card was one that came out of the box in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it had the white background, so the card stock was a little different than some of the others that felt, like the blue background, a little softer. The other card that did really well for us was the Ken Griffey Jr. second year. That was a nice card. Still always going to be in high demand, that Griffey card. But you mentioned the Larry Walker card, and Larry has a very strong following. And the thing that I found interesting when looking at the pop report for this set was there are only 892 Larry Walker rookie cards from this score set that have been graded total. So there are only 103 that are 10s. So that's really kind of a low pop when you look at the Larry Walker rookie card. And when I sent in, I think I sent in 12 of them. I had 2 of those 10s. And I think I sold them. They were gone right away. So Larry Walker definitely had a market for his cards. And the Griffeys, as I said, also has a market. Those cards are at PSA 10 selling for 50 or 60. But it really was an interesting set when you look at the rookies. Another guy, Bernie Williams, Joey Albert Bell. There were guys. I'm looking at the guys that have been graded. Juan Gonzalez, right? When you look at the most graded cards out of that set, it goes Bo Jackson #1, the Bo obviously special print one. That one has been graded over 8,000 times. Frank Thomas rookie card second with over 8,000 as well. Then Sammy Sosa's rookie card for Score. That one has been graded over 5,000 times. You want to talk about your hopes for Sammy Sosa cards back in the day? Remember we went ham on those cards for a while?
Right. That was right after the Chicago Bulls documentary. And right when that was over, hey, there's going to be a Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Summer of Slam documentary. Get on the bus right now. And that documentary fell flat on its face because the two people it was about couldn't have been weirder in the documentary.
Gosh. They were so weird. Like Sammy Sosa, it was so odd. And you and I were buying 90 stuff because it was cheap. We're like, Sosa stuff's gonna pop, and you had me convinced. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Look at what they did to Jordan. So I sent this card's forever gonna be. I'm gonna keep this card forever. So because I sent in 11 of them, and I actually got 2 10s and 9 9s. And I remember I did a reveal on this YouTube page, and a guy wrote, he said, I like Sammy Sosa, and I'm a big Cubs fan. Even I wouldn't have sent that card 11 times. I'm like, yeah, but you have to remember, like when we were sending them in, they were like $8 to get graded. Right. So it was like basically buying a case for your card at that point. And, they still sell for like 25 to 30 on a PSA 10. maybe 10 for a 9. But yeah, we kind of whiffed on that one. But just a weird chain of events that, Sammy Sosa today compared to when he was and, chasing, Maris. Whew. A long time ago. Let's just put it that way.
I think the value went down after that documentary, actually. I think they were more valuable before the documentary.
No, I think you're right. And rightfully so. I mean, you and I left that documentary going, man, that was weird. And I don't think it didn't gain the same traction. It was like an ESPN 30 for 30. So it wasn't like, it didn't get the grand, play like The Last Dance did. And so, again, the Sosa card. But there it was. I mean, it's the third most graded card out of this set. The fourth is the Griffey. The fifth is Juan Gonzalez, which is interesting. The sixth is Larry Walker. Again, only 852 Larry Walker cards out of the set have been graded. Maybe that number goes up, but that's pretty low pop.
Yeah. And really, it's kind of interesting because I think the people of Montreal still, the people who are diehard baseball fans still long for those days. They played there, so he's got that group of people who want him. But then Colorado is just known for rabid sports fans, and you've got that group of people that want it. And like you say, it's actually that card came on that blue background, I think.
Yes.
And it was a tough grade, so that's why you only get 110. So if there's a Larry Walker fan out there that wants a 10, there's only 100 of them out there. You're probably only going to see a few up for sale at any given time.
And that's exactly what I looked when I looked on eBay. I looked at, what's this going for today? There was one that had sold in the last month. And so it was a hard to find. This was interesting to me. The seventh most graded card out of that set was the Mo Vaughn rookie. I had never even considered sending a Mo Vaughn card in there. That card has been graded 644 times so that one's been graded more than Bernie Williams, Joey Bell, the Nolan Ryan cards, even the Dion rookie cards, and all the guys that you mentioned. So surprised by Mo Vaughn? Was he a guy for enough to get that card graded?
Well, I remember when we first started kind of doing this process of sending things to PSA about 2 years ago, and I remember going through my collection and finding a bunch of Mo Vaughn rookies and looking them up and seeing that the raw cards just weren't valuable. And I didn't really understand why, because he was a Boston guy, again, rabid fan base. And he was kind of the original big guy, the original Big Poppy really is what he was.
Sure, right, yeah.
And
that's true.
I kind of thought that there would be some thirst for him, but it just doesn't seem to be the case. I think the people who sent those cards in probably just sent them in because they like Mo Vaughn, and you just don't see them sell. Yeah,
it's probably the Boston fan base, right? Like you're not going to see much value, but maybe he had again, fan favorite in Boston, was one of their big sluggers for a while, but never crossed my mind. Of all the cards that I'd send Sammy Sosa in 50 times before I'd send in one Mo Vaughn. That's how my mind went. But to see those numbers kind of break down, I was like, oh, that's interesting. The other thing that I found interesting too was, as you mentioned, the Frank Thomas card those cards actually came out pretty well, and they were packed near the Bo Jackson card. And it almost was like, it felt like that Frank Thomas card with the white background was almost on a firmer, harder card stock. Would you agree?
Well,
did you feel like that was the case, or how would you describe that card?
I think it may be just more disappointing to us when we found the Bo in bad shape. But the Frank Thomas was never up against the styrofoam. No. And the Bo, it seemed like about half the time it was, and half the time it wasn't. So I think that's probably, we probably didn't keep track of it as much, but I don't know. I mean, I would guess that it's made out of the same stock, but
it
definitely more
stronger.
Disappointing when you get a crappy Bo than when you get a crappy Frank.
Crappy Bo. Here's another random fact that I found while checking out the Pop Report. There is one card out of the whole set that has ever graded PSA 1. So somebody sent a card in that got a PSA 1, and it was a Ken Griffey Jr., 1990, second year, PSA 1. So that's a true 1 of 1. So if you own a PSA 1 Kenny Ruby Jr., you have the only PSA 1 from that whole set. So congratulations. I don't know why the hell you would send in a card that's that beat up, but again, that's what this hobby's all about, finding what you like.
My guess
but I found that interesting.
Yeah, my guess is he put it up on Facebook and said, "Should I grade this?" And one guy said, "Yeah, you should."
Absolutely. I love it.
And there it is. And, we've been talking about the bow card, the football pad card. But the other thing about this set is that it actually had 4 Bo Jackson cards in it. It had the football pad card. It had the All-Star card, which was horizontal. There wasn't a whole lot of horizontal cards in the set. That was the All-Star MVP card. It's number 566. Right. And the Dream Team portrait card, which was looked kind of like a painting with the white background, was 687. And the base card, which is number 280, and that base card is actually, I think that's actually the second most valuable card in the set in the PSA 10. So really? That one is running, around $60 too. So it's right up there with the Griffey card as well, and the Frank at $60. So
again, not even a card I would have thought to get graded, right? I mean, it wasn't in the top 12. It wasn't in the top 12, the most graded cards.
Well, here's the thing. It's right on the front of the wax box.
Oh, yeah.
That's the card, man. It's like the flagship card of the set.
Yeah, there you go. And I do have right here, Chris, an unopened box. Sealed. I think I'm going to open it on this show right now just to see where the bow is. You got one too? Yeah, you think alike just like me. I knew it. Should we open them? Should we just see where the bow is and just kind of take people through? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave it sealed? What are you thinking?
It doesn't matter. I think one of the things too that I kind of wanted to talk about is, you open that box up and you see almost like these bricks. So those colors are all together. You got the green, you got the red, you got the blue, and the white. And the white is where the magic's at. The white is where the bow card is. There's a really cool Nolan Ryan card. There's a Ricky Henderson card in there for when I think the Nolan Ryan card was the 5,000 strikeouts. The Ricky Henderson, I think, was when he beat Lou Brock's record. Yeah. But the other thing in there, which I really like because I grew up as a fan of the Bash Brothers, loved the Oakland Athletics of the late 80s. But there's a 1989 World Series. There's a 4-card set in there. Sure. One of the cards, 701, was Lights Out at Candlestick Park, and that's when the earthquake hit. And it was a 6.9 magnitude earthquake, killed 67 people, and it rocked the stadium, really knocked out power to the broadcast. We lost the broadcast.
Yeah, that's right.
And in our lifetime, like I can remember the Challenger shuttle disaster, like as something you're watching TV and you went, wow, But as a sports fan, this was probably as close to that, or maybe even the Kennedy assassination that we had in our lifetime, where you're watching a big event and something really horrible happened while you're watching the event. So that's really kind of an interesting thing. And so that was in '89. The A's ended up winning that series, I think, in 5. Mm-hmm. And then in 1990, which is when the set was published, as an A's fans, we had another disaster. We loaded up the team that year, had an incredible team, and then Billy Hatcher basically single-handedly won the World Series for the Cincinnati Reds and crushed my dreams, and I still hate Billy Hatcher.
Billy Hatcher.
That's the only thing he ever did in his entire career.
He speaks well of you. He's a big he's a big fan. But that you're absolutely right. The earthquake, and those are the type of cards that, if they capture that iconic moment, that's something that, if you remember that moment, you want to capture it and hold on to that card. So you see some definitely maybe personal interest in a card like that. And, I think back to, a card that, Willie Mays making the catch over the shoulder, those from way, way back. I'm talking about the 60s. But the people remember that those moments. And when cards can capture that kind of makes the set or the card just that much more unique and special. So
yeah, definitely something that I'll just remember forever. And so you've got the set, and I think you should open it and see what that bow looks like. And what I'm going to do, let's have you do that. And what I'm going to do is pull out 2 wax packs out of my box here, and I'm going to open these wax packs.
All right, the seal's been cut here. There we go.
These wax packs are the garbage bag style wax packs. And
Oh,
Score at that
gosh.
time was the only one who had them. You had back in our day, you had the wax packs, the tightly folded packs, and you had 89 Upper Deck was the first foil pack. But these guys in 88 came out with the garbage bag packs. So there's the set, and you can see the bricks there, the different.
So here's the styrofoam that I was talking about. Yeah. But it's actually this little piece over here. Remember that? Yeah. So that one I took out of that card or out of that box. So it's over here. That's what it was. And it's about that big. So
right. Yeah, just about a half of an inch. And I think it's also important to note in that packaging and that big chunk of styrofoam you had, you get those little trivia cards.
Yes.
And my guess is there's got to be literally maybe even close to 1 billion of those in our landfills today.
Yeah, right. Nobody collected those. That's the and so again, they had 704 cards in here. So they had this must have been like the standard box size, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just take the same box as Topps uses for their 792, and we'll just figure out a way to throw some cards in there."
My favorite. One of my
I was going to ask you, but go ahead.
One of my favorite parts of the 1990 score set is also, you see it right here in the label, photo quality. The cards were photo quality. And just keep in mind, to make photo quality cards, they had to cut back. And so they didn't have as many cards. They put the styrofoam in there. It was, they had to do some cutbacks to get those photo quality.
So I'm taking this out of the box in a very, you can't see it, but so I pulled out the trivia. And so here's that right here. And I'm not going to reveal it. I'm not going to reveal it. It's not.
Nope. You lucked out. No bow there.
It's Donald Harris. Donald Harris.
Yeah, Donald Harris.
So here's the actual styrofoam that's it's up against. So these cards are packed in there. Actually, you know what, Chris? This set is in pretty good shape. So looking at what it is, but something when I was doing some research on this set, I was like, I wonder why Topps went with 792. You know why they did that?
I think that was when Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Exactly. No, so I did some research and I found like a Reddit thread that talked about it. But apparently it was the uncut sheets of cards to make sure they didn't have any waste. They went 12 by 11. So 12 cards by 11 equals 132 cards on each sheet. And then if you do 6 different sheets, so it's basically based on the printing press.
There you go.
That's what somebody said. And so that makes sense. No waste.
You had to make sure you get those Brian Downing cards in there.
The Brian Downing. Yes, exactly.
Otherwise, it would have been 791.
It would have been 791, and that would have been way
disastrous.
Off. All right. So here's my reveal.
Let's see the bow. What do you think?
Actually, really nice. I mean, the centering on it is beautiful. The corners are actually really, really good. Like this corner's a little dinged right here. This bottom left one here, but
you should have opened that 2 years ago when you could send it to PSA for $10.
Well, yeah. Now, would I send this in for $50? No,
not a chance.
Not a chance. I wouldn't even send this in for 20. But yeah, it's got a little ding here. It's probably. I mean, this one's probably an 8 or a 9. But just because everything else on the card's beautiful, like that's. So I mean, I would have maybe been excited, 2 years ago. Yeah, here's that the Nolan Ryan 5,000. That's the one you're talking about. This is all at the Yankee or the A's winning. Lights out at Candlestick. Again, that black and white card that you were talking about. I'm going to go to the Frank Thomas. Just look at it. Because that one is – there's the Mo Vaughn way off center. Chuck Knobloch, another one.
Oh, yeah, Chuck Knobloch. Legend. Went to the Yankees and got the yips, and it was all over for Chuck.
I'm not going to go through all these cards because that doesn't make good TV or podcasting or anything. But the Frank Thomas is off center. but
Yeah.
not bad. I would say the cards are in pretty good shape. They held up well, which, for the most part, that's all you can ask for in a set that costs you, anywhere between at the time $5 and $7. It's $20 now. I don't think I'm paying $20 for the set. Are you?
I am not, because I have a stack of them in my storage unit that I paid $6 for. So negative. But I would take 20 for them all day right now.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that's it. That's with shipping though. So you're not making 20. It's just costing.
I am pretty sure a few actually have sold for 20 plus shipping, but yeah, most of them are selling for right around that $13 plus $7 shipping. The other thing I'll say is I'm pretty sure when I was that young impressionable man who was looking at those things at the Osco drugstore, they were $29.99 in that day. I'm pretty sure. I've got my pack here. I'm going to open a pack, and again, this is great. Great podcast fodder. So let's open the pack, see what we can get.
So here's another guy we forgot to mention was the Curt Schilling rookies in this.
Yeah, Curt Schilling.
And so he's got a little bit of a following. There's also this card, this Ryan Sandberg card. Remember this one?
There's an error on that Ryan Sandberg.
Is he a third baseman or what?
Dream Team.
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn Dream Team. The rest of this pack isn't looking good. Rob Deere, slugger for the Brewers. No one struck out more than Rob Deere, but when he actually connected and hit one, out of the park, baby. Jose Canseco. Hey, there's the Ryan Sandberg error. No, this is the correction. So it doesn't say third base.
It doesn't say third base, right? That's the correction. Yeah, so that's the one I got too.
And look at that, Curt Schilling rookie. And Curt, I think this year was his last year where he was eligible to be voted in the Hall of Fame and did not make it. All right. Last one.
I got a Billy Hatcher. You don't like Mickey Hatcher, right?
Billy Hatcher. We're not buddies.
His brother.
Ricky Henderson, Dream Team. Kurt Wilkerson. The rest of these are looking pretty rough. Pete Harnish was a pretty good pitcher for the Orioles. Smoltzy, Hall of Fame. Jose Canseco again. Tony Fossis, Brewers lefty. Dave West and Jose De Jesus was the last card, so I did not get rich off of those two packs. But hey, I have another 34 packs left in the box, and I think, again, one of the things that kind of puts a smile on your face from back in those days is, to us at that time, $18 probably felt like a lot of money, but you could go and buy a box of cards for $18 and get 36 packs and 15 cards. And today, go try doing that.
Not a chance in Hades. Yeah, and that's the one thing that you and I talked about too is, if you want to get more people into the hobby, you have to make cheaper wax available, right? And that was the whole thing. We talked about this, when you would ride your bike to the store. We're talking about 1987 tops. You're spending 45 cents per pack. We were talking about Upper Deck 1990. What was it? 89. When the first year it came out, it was the first $1 pack, and everybody's like, "Ooh, it's a little rich for my blood." But it shifted, and now $900 a box for 5 packs. It's an interesting time for the hobby, and I'm not going to knock it because there's some cool cards that come out of there, but it's hard for anybody to get excited about everyday wax and everyday cards to rip, and people want to rip, especially the young kids. You have kids that want to do it. My kids want to do it, so I wish there were more opportunities for them to rip 1990 score.
It's difficult, and right now you can go on Target.com, find lots of baseball on there, and you can even find some basketball. But I haven't been able to actually purchase football cards retail at all since the beginning of the 2021 season. Every once in a while you'll see something pop up, but it is very, very hard to find it. Obviously, some people have been able to get a hold of it. You see it a little bit on the secondary market, but it's not even real abundant on the secondary market. I mean, if you're interested in football cards, it's been a very difficult year for you to do that. Matt, I think we've kicked a junk wax era set about as much as you possibly could.
I told you we were going to dissect the hell out of it.
Yeah,
and I think we have. I think we have.
I don't think anyone has talked about 1990 score baseball as much as we have since probably 1990. So congratulations to us. Do you have anything else to say on 1990 score baseball before we go into the thing that surprised us this week?
Don't mind me. I'm just going through my cards to see what I have and how they're looking. So if you want to take it away, I'll just be over here looking through the red section. I'm in the red section right now. Is that the one? Is that the bow card? Is he red?
The bow card is red, yes. So
All right.
It should be in one of those red blocks. I know there's like maybe the second green block has almost no one in it. I know there was one block in there that had almost no one in it. But
so tell me what surprised you this week. Let's end the show with that. Tell me what you got.
Yeah, this is going to sound really, really weird, and I almost feel bad about saying this on a sports card podcast, but the Super Bowl feels like it just snuck up on me. With the season going a week longer this year, it felt like the Super Bowl should have been last weekend, but it's this weekend, and honestly, like, I didn't really even think about it until yesterday because it's been out of sight and out of mind for me. I've been doing other things, and it's like, oh, wait, the Super Bowl's tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
right.
that's I guess the thing that surprised me is the fact that I guess I don't watch a lot of ESPN, not as much as maybe I should, but it just feels like it's weird that it's here and the NFL season's going to end tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's even weirder that Joe Burrow is playing in the Super Bowl already. Like that to me is fascinating. You and I have both. You can go back and look at our text. I mean, you and I have both been bullish on Burrow from like day one, right? And we're like, man, he could be something special. And then he just blew out his knee, totally shredded everything in his knee. And we were like, boy, it's going to take some time, but here he is, man. What a player. And he's cool. I think he's got potential to be, and I think you're starting to see it now, but like he's going to be the guy that the hobby might be able to start chasing. Now that some of these iconic quarterbacks are calling it quits. I think, we've said it to Burrow, Herbert, I think those are the guys that, if you're going to invest in quarterbacks, those two guys are right near the top of the list when it comes to the young guns. But in your wildest dreams, do you think Joe Burrow would be in the Super Bowl in year 2, especially after what happened in year 1?
Yeah, not after the injury.
Not me.
Yeah, but when you see him play, he just he seems just like he's cool to everything. Like nothing really phases him.
Yeah.
For their odds tomorrow, I think they're going to need that because I think he's going to get hit a lot.
Right.
It's just going to come down to if he's going to be able to take that and stay in there. But, one of our other texts, and you sent this to me like a week or two ago. I mean, I remember early, especially in the preseason, people were saying, boy, this Jamar Chase kid just looks like he's over his, it's over his head, and he looks confused and he looks slow because he's not, catching on to everything. And from week 1, he looked like he had it. And continues like I just when you watch that guy, he just looks like the most dangerous player on the field night in and night out, and it should be fun to see. I mean, I think the Rams, I'm taking the Rams because I think that their defensive line is so good that they can get to Burrow without sending extra guys, which makes it tough to play offense again. So I'm taking the Rams, and I'm going to say it's going to be low scoring, relatively low scoring anyway. I'm going to go 23-16 Rams.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the Bengals to cover that 4.5. I still think the Rams win the game, but it's going to be a close one. I think a little bit more high scoring. Definitely a lot of talent on the offensive side for both teams. I'm thinking maybe it's going to be like 31-29, 31-30, something like that. It's going to be close. I think the Rams win. The Bengals cover. The thing that surprised me this week, Chris, was I love when PSA sends out, who's been graded the most. And you and I usually go back and forth when those lists are released. And for January, did you see the NBA? The Michael Jordan cards have been dethroned, and it was not who I thought it would be. Ja Morant is now the number one most graded guy, or the guy who's graded the most in January. So a little bit surprised by that. That Michael Jordan got knocked off the pedestal. He'd been there for 5 straight months. That tells me 2 things. People obviously are bullish on Ja Morant, and he's having a fantastic season, and he's on SportsCenter all the time. Clips are always on Instagram. So, he's kind of the hobbyist dream, but that also tells me that maybe people are running out of Michael Jordan cards to get graded. Everything's at PSA. You and I have talked about this. Like, think about the glut of cards at PSA of Michael Jordan. But I was surprised it was Ja, and I think that's cool. I think that's cool for the hobby because, again, he's kind of turning into this icon. He's kind of turning into this new fresh thing. The one-handed Odell Beckham type of catch, and he's doing those things on a regular basis, and it's good to see. But that I found that interesting that he not only leapfrogged Michael Jordan, but Jordan is now like 4th, I think, behind Ja, Zion, and LeBron. So that was interesting to me. I found that flip-flop and switching was different.
I think there's a few things going on there. I think when Zion, everybody was sending their Zion cards, it was Zion and Ja, I think, at that time were the 2 big guys, the 2 up-and-comers that everyone was looking at. And I think maybe everybody sent their Zions first, and then they sent their Ja's after that. And the other thing is, PSA did that special, the Jordan years. And I think what happened is everybody kind of emptied their Jordan collection, sent them in, and then, the few months afterwards, they had already kind of, sent what they had. So you just didn't see as much going in because they had really just sent those. And I think PSA is at a point in their backlog now where those cards that went in on that Jordan years special have been exhausted. They've already been shipped out. And I think people's collections at that point had kind of, their Jordan cards had been dwindled. So,
and I think the Jordan cards, obviously, the secondary market for them on eBay is always hot. So people were sending all their Jordans, right? Everything. Right. And the other thing that surprised us, speaking of which, you and I have talked about this, and I'm sure other people are too. The Jordan rookie card is still one of the most graded card every month. How is that possible? How many of these are out there in the wild? I find that interesting. I still find that interesting.
Definitely, there's tons of them getting graded. Obviously, the 10s are still going to be super rare. But, yeah, I think the pop reports are going to get filled up in those mid-grade cards because people are going to go digging in their closet and find, this is my card when I was a kid. But, yeah, the 10s will still be super rare, and I think will still hold a ton of value. But those mid-grade cards, I think that pop report's going to just continue to grow and grow as people start sending those in. They're seeing the dollars there.
Hey, Chris, remember when we started talking about doing the show and we were like, how are we going to fill time? I'm looking at the clock here, dude. We've been talking for 48 minutes.
Yeah.
So we either got
about 1990 score.
Right. We either need to talk faster or we just keep it going. Man, I had a blast talking about this, though. I hope people enjoyed it too, listening to it, because we kind of geeked out about a set that I think most people know about, right?
Right.
But they probably own it too. Let's be honest. These were out there all the time. But man, this was fun. We should do this again.
Yeah, super fun. Let's plan on doing it again next week, and we'll come up with an idea. But I've got a few ideas. It'll probably be a basketball set. I think what we'll do is try to rotate baseball, basketball, football, and maybe even sneak in a hockey set every once in a while. But yeah, I'm thinking basketball for next week, and we'll kind of figure it out via text the way we do. And I hope everybody enjoys the show. We're going to do this on YouTube live every week. And again, just started, so didn't expect a huge audience tonight and didn't get one. But looks like your son's joined the show.
I was going to say, my kid was saying he was going to watch it, so that's cool. So I'll have to give him a little extra money for some cards this week. But we'd love, if people have comments, they want to say, hey, talk about this set. We'll maybe take them into account. But no, just kidding. We'd love to hear back. We've had people comment on some of our videos. It's always awesome to hear from other collectors and, you know, even if it's people hating on us, you know, hey, you guys are stupid for sending in all those Sammy Sosas. Yeah, we know that. We're going to admit when we take the L. Like we're not like fake investors that are like, oh yeah, look at these. I have all these, you know, score reflectors, and you know, we're going to make
Those
millions.
Magic
like
Motion trivia cards.
the Magic, yeah, exactly. I'm going to get them, all of them graded, and they're going to make us, everybody, millions. You know, if we're dumb on something, we're going to tell you. And I tell you what, here's a teaser for you. Next week, I'll tell you about my Deshaun Watson story. How about
I can't wait to hear it. So we're going to put this up on YouTube once a week, and then we'll also you'll see it start coming up on your Apple Podcasts, on your Spotify, on those places as well. We're going to have to start cataloging a few episodes before those places will take our feed, but you'll start seeing that up in the next few weeks. So if you'd rather consume the show while you're in your vehicle or maybe working out or something like that, you can do that as well. So hope everybody enjoyed the show. It was a long talk about 1990 score baseball cards. Again, probably more than anyone's ever done since 1990, but it's fun. I love talking about this stuff. It brings back great memories, and just fun to kind of chat about goofy stuff like 1990 score baseball.
Well, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody.